Hey everyone, it's the Montessori Power Hour, and I'm Aubrey Hargis.
And I'm David Hargis. Today's show is a good one. We have a really fun vocabulary game. We're going to talk about our new planning cards. We have a dad joke, I'm sure. And
a corny one.
A corn. Ooh, that's a hint. And hats on for homeschooling.
Oh yes, hats on.
But first.
I'm looking for our hats now. Where did I put them?
So maybe metaphorical hats for.
It might be. I know I brought them downstairs.
Okay. Oh well. It's one of those mornings, guys. It's been very big. I feel thankful for many things, but specifically right now I feel thankful that we have to just do this one thing.
Yeah, oh my gosh, yes, I know what you mean. It's almost like we're taking a break here, just chatting with you because our lives have just been really non-stop recently. It's not a usual thing for us. We usually lean towards like a more balanced, relaxed lifestyle.
That's right.
But this season has been particularly challenging. And it's, for us work-wise, but it's not necessarily a bad thing for our kids.
That's right.
Right? Our kids are older, of course, and so we have, we have a little more time to spend with each other, than, of course, we did when they were little.
Yes.
But it also, we've noticed that the less available we are to do the normal things that we're doing, the more our kids are starting to take initiative for the kind of stuff that generally facilitates the running of the household. Have you noticed that? Like them kind of stepping up?
For sure, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's that part of that is age.
Yes.
They're older. But honestly, part of it is parenting. I mean, that is what good parenting can provide.
I think it's what Montessori parenting in particular can provide.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think Montessori parenting is good parenting. And I think that you're teaching independence, you're teaching self-reliance, you're teaching compassion, you're teaching a commitment to the family.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that there aren't other methods or mindsets that do that, but it is intentional. You have to be really intentional, especially in this. I know it's such a cliche, but I mean, honestly, the modernity is no joke. Just the amount of trash that we're bombarded with all the time. It's just never before in human history have we been flooded with so many.
Elaborate on that. What do you mean by trash?
Well, there's just constant noise. There's social media, you have advertisements, you have broadcast media, you have food stimulation, you have temptation from every kind of narcotic and alcohol. It's just a lot. And no human culture that I'm aware of, I'm not like the most learned historian, but I have studied history quite a bit, and I don't know any culture that's had quite, because it's just all the factors like electrification and the computer revolution. It's just created this, and even so, as adults, we're having a hard time. And I was just reading I just read in the paper today, online, of course, that that there are more and more. There's another study showing like how internet use and brain addiction can really affect a young person's mental and neurological development.
Yes.
And this is just like new. And this, we're seeing these studies again and again. We've seen the studies about how reading online is very different than reading in a paper book.
That's right.
For your brain and for everything else. And that's just like on top of, or actually probably the underpinning of all the other piece, which is there's just a constant barrage of things.
I also have to say, bless the teachers that moved from teaching in person to teaching online during the school lockdowns, during the pandemic. Okay, all of a sudden everyone just started homeschooling, but really it was the teachers that had to pivot to a total online facilitation, and that was monumental. That being said, we as parents, I feel like, have always tried to take a slower, emphatically hands-on approach. And I know we're going to talk more about that later on in the episode, so I don't want to get too deep into that. But just to say that, like, this is one of the reasons that we intentionally take on a slow lifestyle. And why July and August feel particularly busy for us, because it's not like we don't work hard during the rest of the year. But we really, really, really try super hard to have a balanced, we try to model, I think, the lifestyle that we expect from the members in our communities.
Yeah,
And
you know,
that's
right.
If you were to see us like working constantly and constantly fretting about planning for our kids' education and just like on to one thing, then the next, then the next, I feel like that's antithetical to the whole slow Montessori approach to following the child.
That's right.
And so we really try, I feel like we really try to lean in towards that balanced lifestyle ourselves. Like we have work, sometimes work intersects with homeschooling, obviously for us, but we also make sure that we are taking time to just be with the kids and to try to remove as much pressure as possible off of them so they can have this happy childhood, you know,
Totally.
so that they can just be themselves, right? I mean, not that they'll always be happy, but they'll just be themselves. So that being said, this season does feel super busy right now. I mean, our
it's
phones,
enrollment time, right?
I was thinking this morning, it's kind of like the old school telephone, right? I feel like our phones are ringing off the hook right now, which is very, very exciting. It's not just exciting for us as a business. It's exciting to catch the contagion of the energy of so many newly interested Montessori homeschooling interested parents, right?
That's
People
right.
who maybe are homeschooling for the very first time, or people who have been homeschooling but they're looking to shift into a different, you know, or incorporate some different resources this year. And it's just really contagious. Every time our phone, basically, I mean, we do get a ringing sound every time we get a little chat message. Sometimes we're in the middle of other things, friends. And so it's made this time of year a little bit more hectic than usual. But it's always rewarding because I feel like it allows us to capture some of that new energy and to just be available. I mean, I just love that we are so hands-on in our business, like we are available to people.
Yeah, we're really fortunate. I mean, having worked in a lot of other environments, and you can be really disconnected from the work, from your colleagues, from the people that you're serving, or customers, whatever you want to call them, and it can feel very abstract. And so it's a real blessing to work in a small business to where you feel both passionate about the work and you get to see it affect people in a direct way. And it's, you know, it's kind of old school. Like, I think if you went back in time and you thought about people who worked the land, or they owned a small shop, or you know, or a craftsperson of some type, I mean, they had a relationship with it. And in the modern world, it's one of those things about, like I talked about, trash or garbage or noise or whatever. Like, one of the things is we've become really abstracted from work.
Yes, so that's going on. Like, our phones are ringing, which is great. We love it. So anyone who's watching who wants to reach out and connect with us personally, just go to our website. We turn that little chat feature on like throughout most of the day. Right now it's busy season, so it's on more than usual. But just reach out and chat with us if you are interested in talking about anything that has to do with Montessori parenting related to Child of the Redwoods work.
Now, in fairness, Aubrey, it's not just that it is August and this busy time.
Yes.
That we are taking, that I've been saying, I'm sitting here live on YouTube feeling a sense of calm because I don't have to do one thing. It's because we have been working pretty ambitiously over the last several months to rethink a lot of our work. And
the other day I met up with a friend and she said, "How are you?" And I said, "I haven't left the house in a whole week, and this is really unusual for me." It's because we essentially took our whole business, we turned it upside down,
totally
upended things, we rebooted everything, and so it's just involved a whole lot of back work, a lot of tech innovation, a lot of product innovation has gone on. And we have the new coaching semester about to start. Primary and Lower L are both ramping up.
We've got the annual planning party tomorrow.
I know. So we're getting the classrooms ready in our community and prepping for our coaching sessions. I mean, it's like, and also we will talk about this next, I know, but we've got a lot of our current members transitioning over into our new platform. And so that's involved a lot of manual work on your end. And so it naturally, I'm kind of looking forward to the next season, which is fall, which will bring in like a more balanced life again.
It's harvest time.
Yes.
Well, let's talk about that. So for about 7 years now, we've been Child of the Redwoods, and it's been a growing proposition. Some of you guys, I know.
Oh, we're not changing our name. We're still Child of the Redwoods.
We fought a lot about that name we had many disagreements early on.
Fight about it.
Well, we had debate.
Yeah, we had debates, but they were like good brainstorming type of debates.
Of course. So let's not fight about it.
Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to stay married for so long.
Well, okay, I'm speaking a little hyperbolic. But I'm not speaking hyperbolic when I say that, with hyperbole, when I say that for 7 years, we have been doing some variation of Montessori homeschool support. Now, you really kicked it off doing Facebook-based. It was one of the first, actually, to do.
I kicked it off in 2011.
That's true.
Yeah.
And that's more than 7 years ago.
Yeah. With the blogging.
And then the first courses were about 7 or 8 years ago. It was primary.
Yep.
And over the years, we've heard a lot of really good feedback. We've also had a vision for what we wanted to do. Our backgrounds are in education, deeply in education, and sort of what we want to create. So some of the stuff that we've done since then, in 2020, we did Constellation, which is, here's our new theme, it's farm. And it's grown a lot.
Oh my
goodness. Thanks to I didn't bring a 2020 version, but it was very different than this. And that's thanks to the members. In 2021, I think it was, we launched Lower Elementary that had been requested for a long time. Took us many years to write that. We introduced the planning, and we solidified, we introduced the lesson planning, and we've iterated on that further. Again, thanks to feedback from folks and our, kind of thinking about what we wanted to do. We solidified our academic framework, the 10 subject areas, and then organizing the lessons within it.
Yes.
So it's a lot of work, right? And ultimately, it's been pushing us toward the thing that we're really in the midst of right now. And have really just rolled out, and that is a truly comprehensive, I would say, first time I feel like we've actually blended the foundational lessons, which is the lower L and the primary curriculum, with the constellation themes in a truly holistic way without sacrificing the Montessori heart, which is a trick, right? Because you don't want to dictate lessons to people. You want to follow the child.
Yes, we want to make sure that they are able to follow their children where they are, while also providing resources that will help them get there.
But because that's the other piece. Like I think when we started we had the mindset of teach a man to fish, right, or something like. I think it was we really focused on it's very a la carte, open.
Oh,
you're going to learn
the structure of the courses.
Yes. Yeah. And over the years, we found like people like that, but they also want more support. And so things like Constellation and the way we structure the lessons and so forth is a reflection of that. And after a lot of thought, I think we finally hit on a system that blends these things together.
Yes. I will have you pause and just say that the kind of work that we actually do in our business with this curriculum is, I think, in a lot of ways significantly different from the kind of work that you see from a lot of the other creators of educational materials out there. There are a lot of theme packs out there online.
That's true.
But David and I have, the reason that our business evolves so slowly over time is because we are invested in creating a comprehensive system of education that takes the Montessori framework and then makes it accessible for homeschoolers. So
that's right.
In a thematic unit like farm, you can go online and you can find a bunch of theme packs about, with lessons about farm animals and stuff. But the thing that makes ours unique is that we actually created the framework first, and it took years to develop that. So
That's right.
this is, the evolution of what we have been doing recently is a product of years and years of that big curriculum, the big picture part.
Yeah, that's right. It's looking at the lessons that are traditionally given in a Montessori curriculum, looking at our understanding of state and federal national standards like the Common Core.
And honestly, this is the kind of work that usually big teams of people engage in.
Yeah.
When you have your school district create the scope and sequence plan for the district, it's not just like a couple people sitting around chatting about it.
No, I used to
You've got
do
a
that
big
work,
team.
and you would
yeah,
have
I did
dozens
too.
of people.
And we were in, I would be in a room with 30 other teachers, and we were writing curriculum for very specific things that someone in the curriculum department on a big team had synthesized for us to start writing. And so that's something that's very, very unique about our company.
But we love it. We find real joy in doing that curriculum.
It's fun.
Work.
Yeah, this is the thing.
All right, so let's talk about the solution we came up with.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, actually, friends, so what we are doing this year is, as I have said, we have basically upended our old programs. I know that there are some people out there who are confused about this change. We've offered primary and lower elementary and Constellation as 3 separate programs for a long time, but we made the decision based on not only the feedback of our members, but what we observed, how we observed our members engaging with the materials, the kind of gaps that we saw people who took the primary course were in, and our desire to help them move from understanding the knowledge of the Montessori method into the actual practice and implementation. And so Constellation was created really for the practice and implementation after we had taught the primary course for quite some time. So after creating this, we also realized that those people who were engaging with our Constellation course really needed a solid foundation in order to implement the whole method, because the kind of questions that we were getting were people would come and they would say, is this an entire curriculum though? Will this teach me how to teach my child how to read? And will it teach me the exact Montessori math sequence? And our answer up until this point had been, go take the primary course or go take the lower elementary course, and then you'll learn the method, and then you'll understand how these fit in.
That's right.
And another of the problems we were having is people were looking at our Constellation content, which is essentially scripted versions of the primary and lower elementary lessons. They were looking at this as additional content. And so the reason we are making big changes in our, it's not just a pricing. This is not about pricing. We are not raising our prices. We're not lowering our prices. We decided that it is best for our members to have access to all of this content in order for us to help bridge those gaps between.
Now I'll correct you. Actually, it is less.
It is actually technically
because we're putting everything together.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So actually, we are giving more for less, which I don't know any other business that is that a solid.
Well, it's good for the.
Is that a solid business decision financially? I don't know. What I do
well,
know,
we want to create something that you want us to grow with.
Is that it's better for members.
For sure.
It's better for our people, and so
better for kids.
We also worked on a different pricing strategy based on what we were seeing our members needed in order to make it as affordable as possible and give the most that we can for the money. We are switching to a membership program that is a little bit different from the payment systems that we had in the past. We think it's like 1,000,000 times better. We feel like it's more affordable, and we think that the new content that we've created is going to be amazing and transformative. So let's take a look. I want to start with our brand new Montessori planning cards. So do you want to do a top down and we can kind of show those a little bit? I don't know if this one will make a difference or not. Let's see.
There we go.
Okay, this is lovely, friends. So what I have here, this is this is a Child of the Redwoods innovation that we've been working on for quite
a long time,
like probably about 2 years worth.
At least.
I remember that it started while hiking in the woods, because that is where David and I do our best brainstorming for Child of the Redwoods. We go on a long hike. Our kids are at forest school. So we say we take Fridays off, but we actually take it like for brainstorming and forest bathing, right? In our usual fall and spring rhythm.
That's right.
I've kind of been missing it this summer. It's been real hot out there, but and so what we decided was we wanted to create a system where members were able to more easily choose what lessons to give their children based on their child's level. And so we created an entire leveling system for our members that we introduced last year. Or,
a couple years ago.
Yeah, a couple years ago. All right, so we introduced the leveling system first. And this is the finished product that we felt like would help the most with planning.
That's
okay?
right.
So you don't just need the lessons. This is going to help you implement the lessons themselves. So we have actually inside, I'm going to show you our latest farm unit as an example. All of these are the core subject areas. They are all what you see here in these little tabs for our cards. And go here and you see these are cards that are for every single unit. They're going to be for every single unit. You'll get a little set of planning cards like that week by week. You just print them out, cut them out, and you're going to add them to your set of foundational lessons, which are all of the ones that are all here tabbed in the back. So here I've got all of my farm cards. So I've got week 1 of farm, which is what our members have been doing right now.
Yep.
So the activities: a horse says neigh, farm animals in action, a little poem that I wrote, a little research. These are activities, a recommended book for week 1. And then you're also going to use these cards. I'm just going to pull one, say a level 1 for practical life. And then you can choose from among these on the cards. And these cards are going to help you progress through the whole system.
That's right.
And honestly, it's like there's too much to explain like on our live show right now. So this is just like a little sneak peek. But essentially, we have created a planning system that is really, really satisfying, I think, to use, because you'll be able to check them off. You'll know exactly what level your child is on. Once your child progresses past the level 1 activities, you'll be on to the level 2 activities, and you can just take those level 1s and just like put them in the back.
You can revisit them if you want, but
and then we're working on the second level. And so we have developed a really unique system. You can go onto our website. We have a brand new How It Works page, and we have a page for the planning cards. So if you go on our website right now, if you happen to be watching, we've actually created some pages that will explain the whole process.
Yeah.
So lovely. I love these so much, and I really feel like we've gotten great feedback from our members already. We did a whole beta test with these.
Yeah, it's a game in a way.
Yeah.
It's kind of gamified in a sense. The idea being that actually what you do is you'll have a constellation theme card every week. You want to lay those out? I'll switch back.
Oh, that's okay.
Fine.
Whatever.
Yeah,
It's just gonna...
Let's do it. Yeah, so you're going to have your constellation theme card. And this is like the center of your work, right? Because it is an interdisciplinary approach. That's what Constellation is designed to do. And as you work through those Constellation lessons, you're going to cover a lot of foundations. But we know folks want to have that emphasis on the foundational as well, and they want to know how to put them together. And so you're essentially going to deal a hand. You're going to have a Constellation card, and you're going to have 4 other cards, those from the foundational. And there are some basic rules that you would follow to help you make sure you're kind of hitting where your child is at developmentally. So if your child is 2 or 3, we would say 2 of your foundational cards need to come from sensorial and practical life. If your child is older than is 4 or older, you'd say 2, they need to come from reading, writing, or math, right? So because that kind of matches to the developmental age. The other 2 cards you pick from any of the subject areas you want. And like Aubrey said, they're leveled, so level 1, 2, 3, within a topic. So this topic is what is life? It's about sort of big picture things regarding what are living organisms and non-living organisms. This is a level 1. So this would be kind of introductory topics related to the definition of life. And then each week what you're going to do is you're going to deal your cards, and you're going to pick one lesson from each of those foundational, and you're going to work on your lessons there. So that's, in this case, there would be 8 lessons in total for the week. That would include reading the poem, reading the book recommendation, doing this horse says neigh, which actually we're going to do in a minute. We're going to show what that looks like. And then any lesson from the foundational cards that you want. If your child isn't quite ready for that, you can go to a different lesson. You could go to a different card. If your child is like progressing really quickly, let's say here we have developing handwriting, chalkboard, using the chalkboard and using the pen punch. If your child already has mastered that, or not mastered, but has really shown a lot of progress toward that, you could just go to the level 2 card, or you could just pick a different level 1 handwriting card. Whatever you want to do. The goal, though, is you're not going to overwhelm your child with lots and lots of lessons, but you are going to progress through the curriculum.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people are probably asking right now, like, how do I get these cards and get started?
Well,
they are available. We have 3 plans now for
Yes.
Child of the Redwoods. The kind of starter plan is our Constellation theme packs. You would get a theme pack every single month. They do not include, that does not include the cards.
it includes the theme cards only.
Only the theme cards, that's right. So to get the full set of cards, you would want to be a member of our complete curriculum or our unlimited plans.
That's right.
All right, and you can go to childoftheredwoods.com, and there is an enroll tab that gives you access to all of that information.
And breaks down, like the cards are only one component. There's a lot more that we've done to roll out. Do you want to grab a book real quick?
Oh my gosh, we don't have time to like totally get into
Yeah.
it, but yeah, I'll just hold it up. This is the Reading and Writing Foundational Lesson Redo. It's a total reinvention.
Yep, they're all step by step now.
Yes.
And so if you pull the card and you're like, what is pen punching? You'd go look it up here.
Exactly.
Or something that we've just rolled out as well is we now have an online database. We call it the Lesson Explorer, where you can look up any lesson in the foundational curriculum, primary, lower L curriculum we're going to add to the Explorer in the next couple months, as well as any constellation lesson going back to 2021. We're populating that now. It's got about 20 themes in there already. So you just type in pen punching and it'll pop up. You could look at it on your phone, on your computer, and kind of read the steps, and then you would remember how to give that lesson.
That's right. All right, well, let's have some fun, friends. A horse says what?
What does a horse say?
What does a horse say?
Neigh.
Doesn't say moo.
Moo? No.
It doesn't. So let's have some down-home fun. We're actually going to demo really fast a lesson from our latest Constellation Theme Pack Farm. This is available exclusively to members right now. We do not have a Child of the Redwood shop at the moment. And so, and this is all part of the new website transformation. And so the only way to get this theme is to be a member of our Theme of the Month plan, our Complete Curriculum plan, or Unlimited plan in our new platform. Okay?
Any of the plans.
Any of the plans.
Any
yes.
of the new plans.
I know.
Jessica says she's cutting out the foundation cards as she watches. Thank you.
Yay,
I
fun.
think we are excited to see how the folks use those. We've seen through the beta, and we're already seeing some examples in the community, and it's really exciting. I think it's just going to transform the community into like this kind of planning experience together.
Oh yeah, it's going to be really, really transformative. I cut out my cards while watching the Olympics, so I love that you're cutting them out while watching me
Oh, well.
performing my own Olympics, right? I know. No, it's actually, our members reported back and said that it didn't take them as long to cut out the cards as they thought.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
so-
It's a one-time thing, too.
It is. It's a one-time thing, and then you've got them, and they're good for 3 years.
That's right.
Okay, so let's dig in. So this little feature that I want to show you is an activity that actually comes from, I'm getting our, there we go.
There we go.
Yeah, it comes from our farm unit, and I'm just going to give you a little tour of farm while we're here. Very, very brief. There's our cards. literature connection, materials list is in everything. The activity we're going to be exploring today is actually our very first one. Some of our members have already started doing this one and reported back that their kids really loved it. It's about onomatopoeia, so it's your child is really absorbing a lot of vocabulary. And Maria Montessori said we should never dumb down vocabulary for kids.
Yes.
And so why not introduce onomatopoeia to the very little ones so they can learn that term, or as just part of their natural vocabulary.
Totally.
Yeah.
They love challenging things. Kids love.
Yes. And then I'm just going to flip to the back and show you some of our printable materials back here. So here's a personally written poem. I don't know for how long I'll be able to do that in Constellation, but it's been fun. I've written a poem for our last
several. I
7,
don't know,
8
almost a year.
themes.
Perhaps.
I don't know, maybe a whole year. I'm not really sure, but we'll see. I'll just keep going until I'm ready to do something else, I guess. Maybe we'll put another poem in there. So these are the cards I'm going to be demonstrating with today for you.
Yeah, and they're outlined in blue, which goes with the color that we've associated to grammar. And so this would also, again, match to the cards.
Yeah, and then we have a little reading activity. We have these animals engaged in different activities. And in Montessori, we teach reading primarily by giving children fun things, just fun, little, easy, nonfiction things to read, preferably as part of the reading curriculum, and not to shy away from long words, like enthusiastically. If your child stumbles over a word, that's an opportunity. You can read it for them, or you can help them sound it out. It's just all good practice. So here we have the rooster crows loudly in the morning. Then a picture of the rooster. Really cute. Our members are doing, I've been seeing pictures of our members doing those activities.
Yeah, there's some really cute
stuff
there.
We have a pouring grains activity, so those go with that. And then we have parts of a cow, which there's your little preview into that. All of our parts cards activities, our parts of a activities come with a little booklet that you can put together and make yourself. And there's a YouTube episode that we did on the importance of little books. And so that's a good one if you're interested in why we do that. Go back and find that episode. And then we always encourage children to make their own little parts of a cow book as well. So that's in there.
Watercolor sheet.
Oh, this one is so fun. This is the counting sheep to sleep, which is super, super cute. And our members are modifying this. If their children can already count up to 100, they're modifying it to make them into multiple. I know we have a member, I think it might be Michelle, who cut up these little sheet, and their child is like pulling the numbers and actually doing math problems with them.
Oh, I love that.
So cool, right?
That's really cool.
So lots of sheep. And then we've got other kinds of farm cards in here. These are
another four-part card. These are about farm equipment.
Yeah, tools that you can use in the farm. Some of them are machines, and I know we've got some kids in our community who are really into machines.
Do you remember that time we were driving back home in Texas? We were up near your parents' house, and we were driving through the country, and we saw a great big tractor or a combine or something, and we pulled over and we were letting our oldest, who was
it was a hay baler.
A hay baler, that's right.
Yeah.
And we were letting him watch.
Yeah, this is the baler right there.
And the guy came up and he was like, "Hey there, you want to ride, little guy?"
I know.
We were like, "No, it's all right." I love Texas. It's a very genuine moment. Like, I'm sure he would have loved, our little guy would have loved that.
Oh my gosh, I'm sure he would just put him on his lap.
It was just such a great.
It's so cute.
Yeah. God bless Texas.
These are grammar cards, friends, because in Montessori, farm is really special. We have a whole grammar farm thing kind of going in Montessori.
Yeah.
Something that you would learn in our foundation courses that starts in primary but really blossoms in the lower elementary as your child grows.
And so this is an example of how we try to provide everything we can in the theme pack.
Oh, yeah, it's a great example.
So instead of having the person write down 100 different words from the different parts of speech, we give you. We went ahead and created a bunch.
Yeah, we give you the entire grammar farm set basically here. Yeah.
That's right.
And then farmers market activity. This one is so fun.
It's a math one.
It's actually a math activity. We give you a set of your own golden beads and colored beads on paper, just in case you don't have them at home, or in case you want to use the paper versions, I think it can be fun to have paper versions and then glue them onto paper, so it can kind of be a creative activity as
A lot
well.
of people like also these paper versions because they travel and they don't want to take their big sets with them.
Right.
So they want to, but they don't want to stop having Montessori fun.
Exactly.
Maybe they're going to travel for a long time. Maybe
Yeah.
they're doing a visit to grandma for a few weeks and they want to continue homeschooling.
Yeah, and then we've got our visual recipe and some research pages in the back. All right, so that gives you a little tour of what's inside Farm. Again, you can get this by just going to childoftheredwoods.com, subscribing to any of our new membership plans, and you can instantly have Farm in your own little homeschool.
And 12 more to come.
All right, so I'm going to go, when we do our little example, I'm just going to skip on over here to A Horse Says Nay.
Yeah, you want me to read through this one while you look at the
Yeah,
stuff?
actually,
Okay.
you don't have to read the whole thing, but just kind of give a little insight into how this lesson works.
Yeah, so instead of just, so great.
So I'm going to lay out our cards, and if you would flip over to the scripted part.
Yeah, so first you're going to introduce it to your child. You're going to, the concept, you're going to say, let's play a game. A horse says neigh, a cow says moo, a pig says oink. Can you think of other animals and the sounds they make, and you kind of have some fun with your child. And then you're going to introduce the concept of onomatopoeia, which is this when a word that makes a sound like neigh, and I guess all words make sounding, but you get the idea. And you're going to introduce the concept of onomatopoeia, and then you're going to lay out your cards essentially. And these are kind of like memory cards in a way, except for they're not going to match. I don't think we match these, do we?
So I'm just going to lay 4 of them out, but you can see in our example that you can lay as many as you want. You could lay all of them out on your rug. You get to choose how many cards you're going to work with at a time.
And you would use more depending on the age of the child.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Now, each of these cards has a farm animal's sound on it, and this is an example of onomatopoeia, and so that is part of the focus of this. But the actual activity is patterning. So let's see how that works. So with patterning, we did this a whole lot in our when I taught kindergarten. It's just a really great skill to teach kids. It prepares the mind for reading because we're having them start to think sequentially. It actually also prepares the mind for math,
That's
too.
true.
I mean, it's just a really important cognitive skill.
Yeah, the sense of order
sequencing and
sequence.
order. Yeah. And so for this, I always thought of it as like a pre-reading kind of a language activity, because we're having children auditorily sequence things in order and to start with some patterning, which happens when you actually start reading and writing. There's lots of patterning that actually happens that the brain needs to make sense of. And so here we are just going to lay out our little cards, and these are actually supposed to be printed front to back.
I think it sent them to the printer incorrectly.
I know, it just had the setting on incorrectly when we printed them. But
so these would be more like traditional memory cards where there's a picture, maybe the same picture on all the backs, and then on the other side is something else. And in this case, it's a word.
Right. And so we have a picture of a barn on the back, and we have a picture of, we actually have the word itself. So this says meow. What does the cat say?
Meow.
Meow. Okay, so you would have all that fun talking about it first before you did this activity, making animal sounds, maybe asking your child to pretend to be a little kitty or pretending to be a chicken, which our kids loved to do.
Oh, yeah.
Did all the time. And then the actual activity, you're going to have your child pick a card, and you'll turn it over, and then we'll read it together. It says buzz. Ooh, what does a bee say? Bzz,
Buzz,
buzz,
buzz.
Okay, so we're going to start with buzz, and then you would ask your child, how many times should we write buzz? 1, 2, or 3? I recommend that we give a limit on that, because otherwise, what if our child says 58 times?
Yes.
That would be too much writing. So
It would be a lot of
let's
writing.
give them a little limit. Let's say how many
If
times.
they can write,
how many
then let
times
them
should
do
we
it.
write buzz? Should we write it once or twice?
I think twice.
Let's write it twice.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to write buzz. Okay. And I'm writing it in cursive because we're going to pretend like that is what we're teaching our child, is we want to teach them to write in cursive. So here I've got buzz, buzz.
So you could write in cursive, you could write in block.
You could do it in block.
You could do
whatever.
uppercase, lowercase, whatever.
No.
No?
No, you want to do lowercase.
Always lowercase.
Always
All
lowercase,
right.
yes. Okay. All right, so then we're going to pick another one. And this one, you already know. Well, you know what? We haven't picked this one.
Okay, let's see what
Okay.
it says. Honk.
Honk.
What says honk? A car.
Honk. A goose.
A goose,
A
of
silly
course.
goose. Okay, so we've got buzz and honk. How many times should we write honk? Once or twice?
Once.
Once. Okay. So I'm going to write honk. So now we're creating a pattern. Buzz, buzz, honk. And then we can repeat the pattern. So if I say buzz, buzz, honk. Buzz, buzz, honk. Buzz, buzz, honk. What comes next? Buzz, buzz, honk. What comes next?
Buzz.
Buzz. And then what comes next?
Buzz.
Buzz, buzz, honk.
Buzz. Buzz.
Buzz. And then what comes next? Let's read it.
Buzz, buzz, honk.
Buzz, buzz,
honk.
honk. And then we go, it's a pattern!
Yay!
We
Now,
need a pattern.
how many times did you repeat this pattern?
Oh my gosh, I mean, you could get more paper and just keep on going. Or you don't have to. You can just, most kids, they could write it if they wanted to write the pattern, but probably I would just have them turn them back over, and then you can create a new pattern. You get new paper and like, let's make another pattern,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that, I love this activity. Our members have given good feedback on it already.
Yeah, it's. I like it. One of the things I like about it is. Let me switch back.
Sure.
One of the things I like about it is that it is the sense of mystery and discovery, right?
Yes.
Like what is going to be under the card? Maybe you remember, maybe you don't. It's fun. There's kind of a dearth of fun, I think, sometimes in the way we teach.
Yes.
We try and like cutesify
I know.
workbooks and things.
We like to we make a plain old workbook page, and then we'll just you'll see little
clip art or something.
clip art, right?
And there's nothing wrong with beautifying. I mean, I love to beautify,
I know.
but it doesn't replace like the actual.
The fun of an engaging
Yeah.
activity.
That's right.
Or
Here's
like
your
a
rule
game.
now in pink.
Yeah, we've essentially made this is a game. This is
That's
you're
right.
teaching patterning, and you're teaching onomatopoeia, and
And there's a mystery,
and
like
you're
you're-
teaching handwriting.
Yep.
And you're teaching patterning and sequencing, but it's like a game that you're playing with your child. All of those things, and that's called interdisciplinary learning. And you'll find that inside every single Constellation unit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also just called fun.
It's also just called fun. Have fun with your kids.
All right, and those are that is a great lesson. And
Speaking of fun.
Oh, what?
Speaking of fun, I have a joke for you.
Well, thank you. Honk, honk, oink.
This is not what it says.
Oh, I'm sorry. Buzz, buzz, honk.
No.
No? Okay. What did the baby corn say to the mama corn?
What did the baby corn say to the mama corn?
Where's Pop?
Get it? Popcorn. Is this a waka 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 moment?
Waka, waka, waka. All jokes must be approved by the Rabbit Council. All right. If you love corny jokes, or maybe less corny jokes, or maybe no jokes at all, well, no jokes at all, not allowed. But if you like to have fun and you want to be part of a fun Montessori experience, we invite you to join us at Child of the Redwoods. You saw some of the new stuff we've got rolling out or have rolled out. And if you're interested in those cards, those are currently now available at the complete curriculum or the unlimited level. Those also include all of the constellation for the year, plus everything back to July 2021.
Yep.
It includes an e-course version of the foundation, so you'll learn the foundations of primary and lower elementary. We put them all together. You don't have to buy them separately anymore. They're all combined because there's how children progress. It's not just like ordered into a first, second, third, fourth. It's a spectrum, and so we want to really support that child throughout the whole thing. You get the monthly coaching through the Q&A, you get the annual planner, and if you're interested in joining us for live intensive coaching, which is what we call the focus coaching on primary and lower elementary, you can join us at the unlimited level, and you can take as much coaching as you want. As long as you're a member at that level, you can retake the coaching again and again and again.
Yes.
And we are rolling out now. I will say we have the lower elementary courses out there and the current version of the booklets. We're working on the cards and the step-by-step version of those lessons, and those will be released in the next couple of months.
Yep.
So if you join now, you will have the current version of the lower elementary
So you can
curriculum.
actually start taking the lower elementary course.
Yep.
One of the most important units is actually on your elementary trial, learning how to develop a good rhythm and routine.
Which you're doing the coaching
For your
on
second
in
plane.
September.
Yes, which I'm doing the coaching on in September. And so then in October, we're going to start with the academic subjects. We'll start with physical science.
Yep.
And by then we'll have all of our cards
Yep, and then the
all
Lesson
ready.
Explorer where you can look up all these things. And you get the access to the community where you get to collaborate and have fun together. So if you're interested in any of that, or even if you're just interested in joining us to try out our themes, that's the theme of the month plan. Love to have you over there. Now is a great time to join.
Yes. All right. So we're going to put on our hats. I wish I had my hats from downstairs. I actually picked them out. So just imagine that we're wearing hats, friends.
I'm wearing an invisible hat.
Hats. Do you have a little graphic for this one too? So we're actually going to put on our metaphorical hats and tell you we're going to become homeschool advocates in this little section. We're putting on our hats for homeschooling specifically, and we're going to make the argument that you should homeschool because, drum roll, you came up with this one.
Oh, you can let your children be children.
You can let your children be children.
We were just talking about at the top of the show, we were talking about how there's just a lot of noise in the world.
Yeah. And
I feel very strongly that we have a very conflicted relationship to how we treat children. We both infantilize them and then adultize them. We kind of rob them of their childhood, and then we give them ersatz childhood, like a fake childhood. And Maria saw that happening 120 years ago.
Yeah.
It's only gotten harder. It's just I think it's a natural byproduct of the kind of material world that we live in, with all this, electricity and mass production and mass media. The kind of the secular modern world has made it harder to connect back to our natural true selves as we've become more disassociated from that. She saw that happening. She was alive during the awakening of that and was warning of it. And now we're just sort of continuing to see that. So one of the reasons I like homeschooling and I valued homeschooling is that it's allowed us to let our kids grow in a more, I guess, natural way.
yeah, at their pace.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
is a concept that came out of like toy and product companies. It's called Kids Are Getting Older Younger. And you can actually go into any local store where they have a big toy department, Target, Walmart, that sort of thing. And you can look at the toys that they market towards children at different ages. And what you might notice is that, aside from just like the newborn equipment, once you go into the actual toys, you'll notice that toys that were marketed maybe to our generation when we were older are now being marketed to younger and younger children. And so toy companies respond to this, and I think it comes from like the pressure that we are feeling societally to like get our kids to new skills faster.
Yeah.
Like there's just this pressure to like get them into the next stage faster. And so the toy companies actually are recommending, like the age recommendations of certain toys are being marketed younger and younger and younger and younger.
That's right.
So example, chemistry set, right? Like who got a chemistry set back in the day? The early ones, like it was for older kids, right? Who were ready to do maybe
older elementary, upper
explosive experiments, right? But now all of the chemistry kits are like skewed younger and younger and younger and younger, and in order to respond to that, they've had to make the chemistry less and less dangerous. Like, so it's much more kind of dumbed down in a way, but it's marketed to a younger audience, whereas in the past it was marketed to an older audience.
Yeah, and then it's coupled with a sense of I don't know how you would say, I don't know exactly the word, but there's a lot of guilt we put onto parents to buy these kinds of educational toys, and you buy them and they really are nothing. Like it's 2 packs of silica or something, and you mix them together. You've done the experiment, and it's.
I know we see marketing with like the word professor on it, or
Einstein,
doctor,
or Mozart, or some symbol or kind of meme kind of concept of, and then just this pressure to perform, and then to feel that we're not providing the child an adequate. And part of that's because we're very busy. Many people are overwhelmed with work.
How many products I see that teach the alphabet to the youngest children? Like we're talking like if your child isn't even walking yet, they might be marketed ABC alphabet type of material.
And I understand that we get parents frequently who will write and say, "Oh, I have a 12-month-old. I want to start taking," and we'll say, we always are very honest. Like your child is not old enough. You really don't.
I mean, they totally
you can join if you want.
Welcome. And we have had members who have joined early, but really it's just to learn. It's just like to start the learning process about Montessori.
Let your toddler be a toddler.
Yeah.
And when she's ready for it, she'll start the lessons. And so I don't think that's quite the same. I think that's just like as parents, we get really excited about our child's development. But I think then we get this kind of additional pressure to compete, or I think it's about feeling guilty that we have to spend so much time working and being apart from our family, that we want to provide them with material comforts, but then we feel guilty about that. And so we want to buy the healthy thing. Yeah. It's I call it the PBS Kids phenomenon. Like you can watch a cartoon, but this one is made by PBS, so it must be better for you. It's like still a TV show, and it can be better or worse, but it's not the same thing as playing a fun game with your child, which doesn't really require any expense or time. You just have to think of some onomatopoeia words, write them down on some cards, and or have a set like we have, and play the game, and it'll be a blast. And you can let your children be children with that.
Yes. I don't know. I mean, it is a huge, huge reason that we started homeschooling our own kids. I didn't, and I still feel that way. Like we have teenagers now. I know that there are really high pressured institutions out there where teenagers are just like so stressed beyond belief. They're not sleeping enough. They don't feel good about themselves. And it's just like, why are we putting that kind of pressure on young people who are trying to develop and grow and change? And so it happens at the older ages as well, but it all trickles back down to when they're little. And it feels like we can get caught in the cycle of, got to put the kids into a toddler school to prepare them for pre-K. Got to put them in a good pre-K to prepare them for elementary. Got to get in a good elementary school to prepare them for what they're going to have to do in middle school. And it just keeps going up. Yeah,
it's a scarcity mindset that we're indoctrinated with.
We have been able as homeschoolers to reject that mindset and to say, you know what, we're just preparing them for life. We're preparing them for life, and they're going to naturally grow and develop into who they were meant to be. And we don't need to put any additional pressure on them.
Yeah, it's a difference in a scarcity mindset and an abundance mindset. Yeah. And the abundance mindset is that the child has within him all that he needs already, and that it's limitless. And we just need to sort of nurture that. Jessica made a great comment here. She says, as a single working mom, I feel this guilt a lot. that's a it's a problem that our society is not structured in a way to allow the citizens to really do the things that are most important in life.
Yeah.
Raise your family, be together, love one another, without feeling this like overwhelming pressure. So you're obviously working very hard, and the fact that you're here thinking about this means that even if you feel that guilt, you have to let it go. You are doing a good job, and the expectation will never be. You'll never be able to satisfy an expectation in your mind unless you put that right in it. I think this kind of goes with that sense of abundance. You are providing abundant love and support, and you are helping your child through that process, even when it means you have to make other kinds of sacrifices.
Jessica, I used to, when I had very little children, I used to imagine myself as a homeschooler swimming through maple syrup. All right, bear with me. I know that sounds weird. No, so two things you need to know. First of all, I love maple syrup. I love it. Second, it feels like moving through time with your kids. It really is like you're in this river and you've got all these other people with you. You can imagine like you're in this river, and it can either be a like a kayak style, right? Where you're like paddling to get to the end, or maybe racing to get ahead of other people, like a rushing river, or it can be a lazy river. And if it's a lazy river, if you're just like swimming through something kind of sticky, you actually could not go very far if you were swimming in a pool of maple syrup, right? I mean, you would be just like making your way, and you get there in the end, but like you're choosing a different way to experience life.
Go with the flow.
Not just go with the flow.
No.
Because what if the flow around you is rushing?
Oh,
like
I
everything
see.
else is like whizzing by. Everyone else's kids are like miles beyond yours, and they're learning all these skills, and everyone else's kids know how to read, and everyone else's kids know how to do math. And here you are, you're like sitting around playing little onomatopoeia games with your kids and making bread in the afternoons, or
Little they know they're rushing to the giant pancake. You're the smart one.
Seriously, slower is usually the better way with kids.
Yeah, for sure.
Because if you are moving at a syrup pace, then they can be the ones to rush a bit, and you're like, oh,
yeah, their mind isn't slowing.
It lets you slow down to observe them and then meet them where they need, rather than trying to push them ahead. You're following.
You're giving their minds. I mean, you're kind of stepping back, and I think sometimes we feel like that means the child is also sort of being slowed in a way, but that's not the case.
Oh no, you can't hold your child back.
Yes, that's right. The child will continue to race, and in fact, the more you, this is kind of an essential
The more you
truism
let go.
about Montessori, the more you kind of let the child lead and let go, the more the child's mind, personality, creativity spark will begin to emerge.
Right.
And they will develop an independence and direct sense of direction that is their own. And that's what we want. We want them to become driven in that way. Yeah, Jessica, you kind of followed up. You just joined. Oh, great. Thank you for joining the program. Just turned 2, and we will be starting homeschooling. It will happen whenever he is ready. Perfect 2 is actually a perfect time to start the primary program. You're right on target for that. That's just right at the very beginning of it, but absolutely following the child, not rushing through it. These cards, this is kind of the core concept of the card. You pick one lesson.
There are lots of
per
cards in
card.
here great for 2-year-olds, by the way.
Oh, there are, for sure. But it's not like you're going to finish a card a week. No. You're going to work on constellation, and then you're going to do one foundational lesson from each of the 4 cards. And if you can't get to it, then you're going to scale back.
Yeah.
And you're not going to feel guilty about it
in
because
Montessori,
you're covering a lot already.
we also really lean into repetition.
Totally.
And so it's not like you're just going to give the lesson once and be done. Ideally, you would be modeling these lessons over and over and over.
Totally. And then to the point where...
Going back and revisiting them.
Yeah, we didn't talk about the DEB method, but the idea is that you repeat them to the point where then the child can give the lesson, essentially, him or herself, and has that sort of is doing the lesson alone, and has demonstrated a real sense of understanding, and that comes through the repetition.
Yeah. Confidence.
That's right.
All right, well, this is, we're going to wrap up, friends. We gave you a little preview of what's going on. We actually have a lot more. There's a lot more involved. We didn't even really talk about the lesson explorer.
Wait, your hat's still on. I've got to take it off.
Oh my gosh, take it off. Okay. We'll get into those later. You're welcome to connect with us at childoftheredwoods.com if any of this is interesting to you. And remember, go slow.
Have fun.
Have fun.
Enjoy life.
Yeah, play with your kids.
Yeah, be with them. They won't be two forever. Embrace them and live that life the best that you can.
All right, love you all. Mwah.